Welcome to another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors. I'm your host, Dr. Barbara Hales, and today we are welcoming Britt Bolnick. She is a successful business owner, a best-selling author, and a magician living a life she loves in Maine. How about that? She is an owner and founder of In Arms Coaching, the co-founder of Pity Posse Rescue, a pit bull focused dog rescue, and the creatrix of Sacred Structure and the Bending Time Tools. Well, you know what? We only have 24 hours a day, but being that Britt is a magician, she's going to show us how we could get more than 24 hours in that day. She built a business from food stamps and single mamahood to a six-figure business that she works part-time while also making the time to found a dog rescue. She mentors women business owners grow their impact and income while they run their business in 30 hours a week or less. This is something we doctors definitely need to know in striving to keep our work-life balance. She published the best-selling The Magic of Bending Time in Your Sacred Business, Time Management for Freedom-Seeking Entrepreneurial Women and Organizational Skeptics. It's a how-to manual for managing time, teaching multi-passionate, entrepreneurial, soulful women how to make time for everything they love while they build success with their work. Welcome to the show, Britt.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, it's very exciting today because one of the things that I definitely would like to talk about is teaching a foolproof and predictable way to reach six figures while you run your business 30 hours a week or less. This is fun. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So to be fair, as a caveat, doctors are not generally my clients. I have worked with women in holistic health areas, but my heart really goes out to seeing what happens for doctors around their own self-care and work-life balance, especially since the pandemic, where things have gotten probably about 100 times worse. One of the things that I've realized as a single mother, when I started building my business, I didn't have the option of running myself into the ground. I was the sole provider for my child financially, physically, emotionally, and I really had to make sure that as I was growing my livelihood, I was really taking care of myself. I also have an immune disorder, which I've had my whole life. So it's not, if I run myself ragged, I stop moving, sometimes for weeks. So it really became sort of a necessity for me to understand, how do I create financial stability? How do I create this business without running myself into the ground and by putting myself and my kid first? And when I Googled time management to try to figure out how to do more, I found all these tools written by, men who were not single moms, who were not starting a business, who were not working a night job and on food stamps. And I realized that all of those tools were trying to teach me how to do more when I really needed to understand how to have more and do less. And that's where a sacred time and the bending, or a sacred structure and the bending time content was really taken from. Just how do I do this without running myself into the ground?
Absolutely. Now, you mentioned that you have certain tools. Do tell, share some of those tools with us so that we could get a better understanding of, some sources that we could use.
Yeah, absolutely. So the magic of bending time sort of takes you through it in as linear a path as I have. I generally don't really work in very linear ways, but some of the pieces of it are definitely understanding what your top priorities are. I don't know that if your community is mostly women, but specifically for women who statistically have usually the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs, because we have our work, and then we go home and we have, again, statistically, the lion's share of our social lives, our family, our household running, all of those things. So getting really, really clear about what specifically matters to you and what your top priorities are, and focusing on those, making sure that those are in your calendar, those are in your structure first, is the first and probably easiest part of that. Just getting clear what is important to you and what are you doing more because it's important to someone else. It's something that someone else asks of you. You're people pleasing, you're trying to make people happy. What are those two categories? And you just take the things that are really important to you. The second piece is the harder piece, and that's about how you enforce the boundaries around prioritizing what's important to you, and then either letting go, pushing off, or rescheduling, or delegating the rest. And that's really the process that I work with women on, is how do you set up those boundaries? How do you really, how do you say, that sounds great, let me think about it, instead of yes? How do you protect your time? How do you get clear on how to prioritize things for other people that you love? So that's kind of the very basic structural format of what's in that book. And I actually developed a 30-day course for it too, that I lead women through. But one of the biggest pieces is really learning to prioritize yourself and saying no. No is the complete sentence. And, remembering that we are our most valuable asset. And without us, the other stuff sort of falls apart, especially if you're a woman running your own household.
Yeah. And another statement that I would like to add to that is when someone is making a statement that really needs a validity for themselves, and especially if it goes contrary to what your beliefs are. Yeah. Instead of saying, no, I'm right, or you're wrong, which no one likes to hear, is rather, you could be right. Let me do further research and check into it, and I'll get back to you. Because number one, people just really want to be heard. Number two, they want to be validated. And three, there is a small possibility you could be wrong. Yeah. So, this way it's a learning experience and everybody saves face at the same time.
Yeah, that's such a great point. I've found "let me get back to you" to be an incredibly valuable phrase, because it takes you out of having to answer in the moment and gives you some time to take something back and kind of, feel into it for yourself, or do the research, or check your calendar, and then respond not to someone's face, which gives us a lot more opportunity to really do what feels best and right versus having a knee-jerk reflexive answer in the moment.
Tell me about the magic in your business growth.
Yeah. So magic, it refers to so one of the ancient definitions of the word magic is the art and science of changing energy. Magic is about changing energy. And right now, what's really neat is that we've come to a time in humanity where magic and science are really overlapping at this point. All of the things that people who are, not all of the people, but all of the things that some new age and sort of woo people have said for years, years and years and years, hundreds of years, is now being proven by science, which is a really exciting time. The way that I spell magic in the book, I have magic with a K, and magic with a K has been used to differentiate from magic like rabbit out of a hat or parlor tricks sort of magic. Magic with a K refers to magic that is about self-development and really starting to make changes with who you are in order to get the results that you want. So there's an aspect of ownership, of self-responsibility, of self-evolution that I really lean very heavily on, that I've used for myself, that I use in all of my programs with all of my clients. And that's why I refer to magic with a K. In order to change how you experience your life, you have to change from the inside out. You have to start with where you're standing, and you can't expect to feel better about your time unless you really look at some of the pieces of who you are and what you believe and how you do things. And that to me is magic, because it does actually change energy.
Britt, do you live on a farm?
I don't live on a farm. I live on 8 acres in Maine, and I have chickens and pit bulls, but that's it. I've been blocked from getting a turkey, which I really want. But we have lots of animals around us. They're not livestock.
I see. And why is it that you're allowed to have 11 chickens but no turkey?
The foot was just put down. I want the turkey as a pet. Because I'll give you the short answer, because then my husband would have to build the coop very differently, and he already has to do so much building around my chickens that only I want, that he would rather not add a much larger bird that will change the dynamics and create more work for him, that I'm basically going to carry around in a baby Bjorn. And
So it was your husband and not the community.
oh, of course it's my husband. No, we can't even see our neighbors.
What I'd like to know is when you say that you show people how to scale impact and income while increasing free time, are we talking about delegation of responsibilities?
We're talking about a bunch of different things. So we're talking about leveraging your time. We're talking about delegation by growing team. We're also talking about delegation by bringing in folks to, you know, do things for your clients around you, like an agency model, or more specifically, a lot of my clients are into wellness and health and self-development. So, for instance, for my program, I've been able to expand the amount of women drastically that are in the program by adding other team coaches who work under and with me. So it's about leveraging, it's about delegating. It's also about getting really, really clear about what you're doing so that it's very easy to call in your ideal client at top dollar, at the value that you want to set for your work. Those are all pieces of leveraging your time to create more income, have more impact, and also have more time freedom.
So, Britt, how do you market yourself so that people know you exist?
I do a lot on Facebook. My daughter, who's 16, says I'm extremely lame and not cool, and the old people are on Facebook, be that as it may. I love Facebook. I'm on it for personal stuff. I'm on it for my rescue. I'm on it for my business. I have a group of women, business owners, entrepreneurs, creatives, leaders, called Sacred Biz Rebels on Facebook. I do a little bit on Instagram, but don't love it. I do webinars, I do talks, I publish this book. I do events, like promotional, all mostly pretty much 99% virtually right now. We're still really home a lot of the time. Yeah.
Absolutely.
And I have a large amount of people come to me through clients. I have a huge client referral, system.
And who is it that is referring to you? Is it prior clients or organizations, associations? Who would you say your best referrals come from?
Probably my best referrals from current and past clients. Whenever I do an event, they bring other people to it. I also have a lot of colleagues who I love dearly who work with similar ideal clients. So when I'm doing something, they'll shout me out. When they're doing something, I'll shout them out. I do almost no advertising. I do sometimes do affiliate opportunities where I'll give kickbacks for clients who sign up if people refer them to me. And we're setting up actually a systemized affiliate system for that, because I really love the concept of affiliate referrals. Yeah, and I'm just very active on social media, on Facebook predominantly.
Okay. What would you say are 2 tips that you could give our audience listeners in terms of saving time with their tools and still maintaining a presence of authority?
I would say one, and this is where the inner work comes in, one is to look really, really honestly at how you are attached to or invested in the idea of the cult of busy. So for doctors, I would imagine that the busier you are, sort of the more important you are, or the more successful you are. And I really think that has to change in our culture. So really looking at what attachments you might have with being like so busy you can't think, or too busy to sleep, and kind of trying to let go of that as this sort of perverse American badge of honor. The second thing that I would say is to get really, really clear with your boundaries and put this stuff for you in your calendar first, whether that's 8 hours of sleep a night, or 3 days a week at the gym, or family time, phone turned off, put away time. Those things are absolutely essential. We cannot give others a drink from an empty cup. We have to be looking at how we fill our cup. And I know that that's something that is really, really hard for people in the medical profession, by design, and, by design mostly. So I really urge, if you can even make 15 minutes a day, if you can start with 15 minutes a day, start really small just for you. And then see if, maybe January 1st, that becomes 30 minutes a day, or it becomes 4 days off every month, like whatever, build it in incrementally, but start with 5 to 15 minutes a day. It is so essential.
Oh, I agree completely. If people would like to hear more from you, how would they reach you?
They can find me on my website, inarmscoaching.com. They can Google Britt Bolnick. They can reach out to me on Facebook, which is the easiest way to probably get to me. They can also email me at britt@inarmscoaching.com, and Britt has 2 T's. They can buy the book on Amazon, and there are lots of ways to get in touch with me and get extra goodies that are in the book. And you
Could
can
you
also
just
find me.
hold the book up once more, and I'll
Sure.
tell you. Okay, so it's The Magic of Bending Time in Your Sacred Business.
And the magic is with a K, but if you Google Britt Bolnick, you'll also see it.
Okay.
Yeah. And then you can also find me on Instagram. If Instagram's your jam, I am there. I'm slower on Instagram, but I am there.
Well, thank you so much for being with us today. This has been another episode of Marketing Tips for Doctors with your host, Dr. Barbara Hales. Till next time.